Welcome to Session 6 of the APRISE AI Skills and Generative AI Training course. This session was created by the Telewander team with the assistance of artificial intelligence tools and under human supervision. All educational content, visual materials, and final outputs were reviewed and approved by the Telewander team. This session focuses on using generative AI for communication, training, and stakeholder engagement. By the end of this session, you should be able to simplify technical information without changing its meaning, adapt one evidence base for different audiences, draft dissemination and training materials, and identify communication risks. Keep a document open while you watch. Later, you will create a small dissemination package and review it using a responsible communication checklist. Communication matters in APRISE because alternative proteins sit at the intersection of science, innovation, regulation, sustainability, markets, and public perception. The category can include plant-based foods, fermentation-derived ingredients, cultivated products, algae-based foods, functional proteins, and hybrid products. These are different technologies with different evidence, development stages, and regulatory contexts. The challenge is not merely to make technical material shorter, it is to make it understandable without changing what the evidence means. Communication can fail when it removes limitations, exaggerates benefits, invents missing details, or uses the same message for every audience. Clear language must preserve accuracy, context, and uncertainty. Generative AI can help prepare a first draft, identify jargon, propose a structure, generate variants, and translate text. It can also fabricate facts, remove caveats, or make a claim sound more certain than the source. The safe workflow is therefore ask, check, improve, and approve. The source and intended audience must be clear before prompting begins. Think of AI as a communication assistant with 4 functions. It can simplify dense language, adapt depth and tone for an audience, structure material in a useful format, and improve clarity through revision. Its value is speed from a blank page to a draft, not authority. The model cannot approve scientific, regulatory, or project claims. Consider this technical sentence about high moisture extrusion. A clearer version might say that food scientists use heat, pressure, and moisture to give some plant proteins a more fibrous texture. The accessible version removes unnecessary complexity while preserving the basic mechanism and purpose. When asking AI to simplify science, request short sentences, clear definitions, and preservation of scientific meaning. Require the model to keep limitations and avoid unsupported nutritional, environmental, or commercial claims. Then compare the draft sentence by sentence with the source. Clearer language must never become more certain language. The same APRISE topic should be explained differently depending on the audience. Here, the common topic is alternative proteins and sustainable food systems. The evidence base stays stable, but vocabulary, depth, relevance, and the desired action change. Audience adaptation is not the creation of different truths. Researchers usually need precise terminology, evidence, methods, limitations, and research gaps. A useful message can show where food science, biotechnology, nutrition, life cycle assessment, and consumer research intersect. Avoid promotional language and remove any claim that is not supported by the cited source. SMEs and industry usually need product development relevance. Connect the topic with scale-up, supply chains, regulation, cost, market acceptance, and opportunities for collaboration. Do not imply guaranteed demand or regulatory approval. A suitable call to action might invite participation in a workshop, pilot, or knowledge exchange. Students need a clear entry point and concrete learning pathways. Explain the field in accessible language and connect it with food science, engineering, sustainability, entrepreneurship, design, regulation, and communication. Avoid guaranteeing career outcomes. Invite learners to explore a course, project, event, or practical activity. Civil society organizations may focus on public value, affordability, transparency, local context, and ethics. Do not frame public concerns as ignorance. A balanced message recognizes potential benefits as well as legitimate questions about access, formulation, energy use, livelihoods, and governance. Policymakers need evidence-oriented language and a clear link to policy relevance, such as research infrastructure, skills, standards, consumer information, or transparent assessment. Separate what current evidence supports from what still requires research. A confident AI paragraph is not, by itself, a policy recommendation. Consumers often want to know what the product is, how it might be used, and what evidence supports a nutritional or environmental statement. Avoid assuming that plant-based, fermentation-derived, or novel automatically means healthy or sustainable. Product formulation and production conditions matter. AI can help APRISE partners draft LinkedIn posts, newsletter text, website articles, event invitations, short scripts, and partner summaries. The same 5-step process applies to every format: AI draft, human review, evidence check, tone adjustment, and final approval. For a LinkedIn post, ask for one main idea, short paragraphs, a specific audience, a realistic call to action, and a strict word limit. Avoid instructions such as "make it viral," because they can reward novelty and certainty rather than accuracy. Verify every project statement before publication. This illustrative LinkedIn draft uses a question to create interest, connects the topic with European research and skills, and ends with a call to action. Treat it as a draft, not as approved copy. Check the project name, funding acknowledgement, links, hashtags, and every factual claim. Longer newsletter or website content benefits from an outline before prose. Ask the model to separate verified information, interpretation, and action. When summarizing an event, provide the approved agenda or notes. Do not ask the model to reconstruct what happened from a title alone. An event invitation must contain confirmed logistics. A model may invent a date, speaker, venue, or registration link because those details normally appear in an invitation. Use explicit placeholders until an authorized person confirms them. Professional structure does not mean ready to publish. In this example, the title, purpose, and intended audience are clear. Before release, replace every placeholder with verified information and confirm that the event description accurately reflects the approved program. A final human reviewer should check logistics, claims, links, accessibility, and branding. For a 60-second video, aim for approximately 120 to 150 spoken words, depending on pace and pauses. Use a simple structure: hook, problem, explanation, one example, and call to action. The script should make one clear point, rather than trying to cover the entire topic. This example begins with a hook about how food is produced, then introduces alternative proteins as one possible part of a wider transition. The script should not present them as a magic solution. Outcomes depend on technology, energy, formulation, policy, and adoption. AI can also propose infographic concepts. Treat the output as a content outline, not as a finished scientific graphic. Verify categories, relationships, labels, and icons before design. A visual can simplify a message, but it must not hide uncertainty or imply evidence that does not exist. This infographic concept introduces what alternative proteins are, why the field is being studied, who is involved, and what skills are needed. Use authentic, licensed photographs for real researchers, events, and partners. If an illustration is AI-generated, label it clearly and never present it as documentary evidence. The same tools can support training design. AI can draft learning objectives, lesson outlines, quizzes, reflection questions, case studies, and rubrics. The educator still decides whether the material matches the audience, learning level, available time, and assessment purpose. A measurable learning objective describes what the participant will do. Verbs such as explain, compare, analyze, evaluate, and create are more useful than understand. Ask the model for a small number of outcomes, then verify that the activity and evaluation actually measure them. For a lesson plan, specify the complete learning experience, not only the video length. In this course, the target is approximately 1 hour, around 35 to 40 minutes of video, 15 to 20 minutes of practice, and 5 to 10 minutes of evaluation and reflection. AI can draft multiple-choice questions, short answers, and reflection prompts. Request the correct answer, a brief explanation, and plausible distractors. Check that each question is unambiguous and measures the learning outcome rather than memory of an incidental phrase. These example questions test whether participants can recognize evidence-based communication and identify risk. Scenario questions are especially useful because they show whether a learner can detect invented details, exaggerated claims, or missing review steps. Every answer and explanation still requires educator review. AI can also draft a realistic workshop case. In this example, a European SME has a plant-based product with potential sustainability advantages, but insufficient evidence for an absolute claim. Participants can create messages for different audiences and revise the claim. Remove fabricated company details before use. Responsible communication is clear, accurate, proportionate, and transparent about uncertainty. The key rule is never to publish AI-generated communication without human review. A named reviewer should be able to explain what was checked, what changed, and why the final version is acceptable. Greenwashing occurs when environmental benefits are vague, exaggerated, or unsupported. Avoid statements such as completely sustainable, zero impact, always better for the planet, or the solution to climate change. These phrases hide the comparison and the conditions. Use precise language supported by relevant evidence. Uncertainty is not a weakness to conceal. Scale-up costs can change. Consumer acceptance differs by context, and regulatory pathways vary. Environmental outcomes depend on system boundaries, energy sources, ingredients, and production processes. A trustworthy message distinguishes current evidence from expectation. Health claims require particular care. Do not say that a product prevents disease or is healthier than another category unless the specific authorized evidence supports that exact claim in the relevant jurisdiction. Plant-based is not a nutritional assessment, and fermentation-derived is not a safety conclusion. A responsible sustainability claim answers 5 questions. What benefit is claimed? Compared with what? Under which conditions? Based on what evidence? With which limitations? If any answer is missing, revise the claim or mark it for verification. AI can expose missing elements, but it cannot approve the statement. APRISE partners may communicate in several European languages. AI can prepare a translation draft, suggest local phrasing, and help maintain a terminology list. Translation is not the same as localization. Localization also considers institutional tone, legal terminology, cultural context, units, dates, and calls to action. Start with a clear, approved source text. Ask the model to preserve defined technical terms and flag ambiguity. Then, ask a fluent reviewer with subject knowledge to compare the translation with the source. For legal, regulatory, health, or safety content, use the required professional review process. The communication prompt framework has 3 parts. Foundation defines the role and task. Context states the topic, audience, and tone. Execution specifies constraints and output. This structure makes the first draft more relevant and gives the reviewer a clear record of what the model was asked to do. This example asks for a LinkedIn post from a science communication assistant for a European research project. It defines the topic, audiences, tone, word limit, call to action, and hashtags. Add one more instruction. Mark every factual claim that requires verification, and use only the approved source supplied with the prompt. For training design, use the same framework, but define the learning product. State the audience, level, duration, learning outcomes, activity, and expected outputs. Ask for practical and inclusive steps, then review the result as an educator, rather than accepting the generated structure automatically. This example requests a 45-minute workshop for students explaining alternative proteins to the public. After generation, check whether the scope is realistic, the activity measures the objectives, the materials are accessible, and participants can complete the work in the available time. Before using any AI-assisted content, apply the Human Review Checklist. Check scientific accuracy, audience, tone, evidence, uncertainty, clarity, inclusion, accessibility, and consistency with APRISE objectives. Confirm names, dates, links, privacy, consent, copyright, and licenses. Finally, record the name, role, and date of the approving reviewer. It is now time for the practical activity. You will create a mini dissemination package on why alternative proteins matter for a sustainable European food system. Keep the original prompt, the first AI draft, and your final edited version so that the human contribution remains visible. First, define the audience. Write down who they are, what they already know, and what they should know, feel, or do after reading the message. Also identify which claims require scientific, regulatory, or project approval before publication. Next, generate a LinkedIn post of no more than 150 words. Specify the audience, tone, and call to action. Require the model to avoid unsupported claims and mark every factual statement that needs verification. Then, revise the draft using the checklist. Now, create a concise event invitation. Use placeholders for any unconfirmed date, speaker, venue, or registration link. The invitation should explain why the event matters, who should attend, and what participants can expect, without inventing APRISE results or logistics. Create 3 messages for European policymakers. Focus on evidence, sustainability, innovation, skills, and responsible policy support. Separate established evidence from future potential, and do not present one technology as a guaranteed solution. Create 3 messages for students or the public. Use everyday language, explain unfamiliar terms, and connect the topic with practical relevance. Invite curiosity, without implying that every alternative protein product has the same nutritional or environmental profile. Finally, create a 60-second video script with a hook, a simple explanation, one example, and a call to action. Review all 5 outputs and keep the changes you make. Pause the video now and allow approximately 18 minutes for the activity. Welcome back. Review your package in 2 passes. First, check clarity and style, audience fit, explanation of technical terms, tone, and readability. Second, check responsibility and impact, evidence, uncertainty, usefulness, inclusion, and approval requirements. Compare your policymaker messages with this example. Strong messages identify relevance to resilience, research, skills, regulation, or public trust without promising a guaranteed outcome. Choose one message and make a meaningful revision. Record what changed and why. Now compare the student or public messages. They should explain the field in everyday language and invite exploration without hype. Check whether any phrase treats all products as equivalent. Revise one message so that it is both accessible and evidence-aware. After this session, APRISE partners can use AI to prepare first drafts of social posts, short scripts, newsletters, learning objectives, quiz questions, event invitations, and multilingual variants. The same review and approval limits apply across all formats. Remember the key takeaways. AI can improve efficiency, but it cannot transfer accountability. Adapt the message to the audience while preserving the evidence. Use clear language, review every output, support claims appropriately, avoid hype and greenwashing, and check multilingual drafts with a fluent expert. The final message is balanced. Use AI to draft, structure, and adapt content. Use human judgment to verify, refine, and approve it. Bring in scientific, regulatory, communication, and local expertise whenever the risk or context requires it. Supporting materials can help partners apply the workflow after the session. Provide the practical worksheet, prompt templates, review checklist, examples, and reference links. Keep these materials versioned so that approved language, terminology, and responsibilities remain traceable. Complete the Session 6 knowledge check now. Scan the QR code, answer the 5 questions, and record one place where AI could help your APRISE communication or training work immediately. In the next session, we will deepen the responsible AI principles that govern these choices.